hopefully you guys are doing well. I'm sorry for the absence of videos recently, but just trying to keep up with them and keep the footage rolling, and really the editing has kind of been the main problem. I just got a new job, so just kind of managing that with making videos has been a little tough, just trying to keep my training on point and my nutrition, so I do apologize. But I wanted to make this quicker video for you guys and a little bit different style of video. I am going to be doing a commentary, as you can see, over the video, but it is going to be a key exercise for the inner and upper chest, and these exercises are going to be accessory movements. So by that I mean these are not exercises you should be going into the gym and doing first. These are not compound exercises. These are very isolation based exercises. So before I get into my three favorite and just kind of the favorites of my inner and upper chest selection, I kind of want to just stress to you guys that these are not the main builders of your pecs. You want to be doing a flat bench press, flat dumbbell bench press, or even an incline, really to isolate that upper chest if you're trying to build up the upper chest and get rid of those collarbones. So just trying to stress that to you guys before I get into the actual video and commentary about the actual exercises, just because I see so many people going into the gym doing pec flies to begin, going to another isolation exercises for their chest, then another isolation exercise for their chest, and they're kind of wondering why they're not really seeing the solid mass being built. And that is going to come from those main movements, guys, the movements you're able to use the most amount of weight on. And I know that bench press for me and for most people is going to be able to be the movement where you can move the most amount of weight in an effective manner. So stick to those compound movements, guys. Same goes for legs. You want to stick to your squats, go to the isolation exercises after, and just kind of want to really stress that to you guys, because building the inner chest is not going to come unless you have a solid base already. So really want to focus on building those main movements up and sticking with them. So getting into the video, because I know I've already been talking too much, but the first main exercise I kind of want to talk to you guys about that I typically use for my inner chest as an accessory movement is going to be the one arm pec fly. And this can be done on the pec deck, as you're seeing me do here, or it can be also done on the cable fly. So if you're just using the same type of movement and the same type of pattern, but just with a cable instead of the pec deck, this is really gonna help you just get a feel and get that mind muscle connection that I always talk about in that upper chest. A lot of times, even when I'm doing the pec deck with just just both hands at the same time, I can't really feel that upper inner chest, if you kind of get what I mean, that you're kind of seeing right now where those collarbones are. I really can't feel that. I don't know if it's because I'm not able to come across fully like I am in this movement, because what I'm really stressing is the actual movement across my pec. So when you're coming here, you want to make sure that you're extending past where you normally could if you were doing them together like this. So hopefully you guys can see me on my camera. So when you're normally bringing them together at the same time, you're not able to go any farther than this, but when you are doing them one at a time, you're able to come all the way across and actually really feel that squeeze and that tension up here. So really focus on that, guys, when you're doing the movement, and really focus on the actual squeeze right here rather than the weight you're using. This is already going to be when you have a ton of blood flow into the muscles and the pecs themselves, so you really just want to focus on getting more blood flow in there and using that mind muscle connection to really isolate that upper and inner chest. Moving on to the next exercise, it's kind of the same thing, very much focusing on that squeeze right here to really feel the inner chest working. And this is going to be the the isolateral chest press. So the isolateral chest press is something I really like to use to really widen my chest out when I'm using them together. So this specific variation is obviously one arm at a time, and you're kind of sitting cockeyed. The reason why you're doing this is, as you can see, one arm at a time, you're really able to get a good squeeze and a good stretch on the pec fully. Very similar to the pec deck exercise, but it just allows you to get a little bit different of a stimuli using the hammer strength machine, and also it just feels a little bit different. So make sure you're using lighter weight. I'm only using a plate on each side there, and really just focus on lowering the seat down so your arm is even with the part of the chest you're wanting to be working. Same goes for the pec deck. You want to make sure that the seat is all the way down, and that is going to allow you to be able to really focus on the upper chest, because if you're really high up in your lower chest and the underside of your chest is what's being worked and you're on that plane, you really want to make sure that you kind of raise yourself up a little bit just to give yourself the best positioning possible to hit that upper chest. The next movement you guys did see is going to be just a simple push-up, but the difference is, a simple close grip push-up, but the difference is I'm using 5-pound dumbbells and I'm actually pushing them together on the ground. So as I'm doing the movement with my hands directly in line with my upper chest, I'm actually squeezing together as much as I am pushing up. I usually will do this at the end of the exercise just to finish everything off, and really what that's gonna do is it's really gonna squeeze that inner chest and really force that blood flow into that inner and upper chest, rather than doing like a normal push-up where your triceps would be doing most of the movement and your lower chest is going to be doing the movement as well as your front delts. So really focus on squeezing them together as you saw, and also using your triceps but just minimally. So really just focusing on squeezing, keeping your hands in line with your inner chest, because if you get down here or you get up here with it, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and you're not going to be stimulating the upper chest and inner chest as much as you are the rest of the pectoral. So hopefully this video kind of helps you guys out with a few chest exercises that help target the inner chest, because that is something myself, a lot of people struggle with, and hopefully that helps you guys out. But make sure these are your accessory movements. You're throwing them in after your main movements, your dumbbell bench, your flat bench, and your incline, stuff like that. Stick to those main compound movements. That's really what's going to help build up that mass, and hopefully this video helps you guys out. Like I said, please like it if you did enjoy it, and subscribe to my channel for more, guys. Thank you for watching, if you're still watching, and I will talk to you guys very soon. The next video is actually going to be about my split and just kind of what I've been doing for these last 6 months, and kind of what I would recommend hopping onto a split going forward for someone who's a beginner. So stay tuned for that. Thank you once again, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Alright. Seen a lot of shit.
Yeah.
In 2012, a meta-analysis was published tying white rice consumption to diabetes, especially in Asian countries, as I explored previously. But even in the US, where we eat much less, the regular consumption of white rice was associated with a higher risk of type 2 diabetes, though brown rice was associated with lower risk, and that was after controlling for other lifestyle and dietary factors such as smoking and exercise and meat and fruit and vegetable consumption. They estimated that replacing even just a third of a serving per day of white rice with the same amount of brown rice might lower diabetes risk 16%. Since the meta-analysis was published in 2012, a study out of Spain suggested white rice consumption was associated with decreased diabetes risk, but it was a tiny study compared to the others, hundreds compared to hundreds of thousands of people involved. In Spain, rice is usually consumed in the form of paella, which has a spice saffron, which may have a therapeutic potential against diabetes. And white rice consumers also ate more beans, which appear to have anti-diabetic properties as well. So this gives you a sense of how difficult it is to infer cause and effect relationships from population studies. Since you can't control for everything, yes, you can control for weight, smoking, alcohol, exercise, etc., but maybe people who are smart enough to eat brown rice are also smart enough to wear seatbelts and bike helmets and install smoke detectors and forego bungee jumping. What we need is a way to fund randomized interventional studies, where we switch people from white rice to brown rice and see what happens. Until then, the effects of the consumption of white rice on the development of type 2 diabetes will remain unclear. But we didn't have such studies until now. Overweight women were randomized into two groups, a weight loss group with a cup of cooked white rice every day, or a cup of cooked brown for 6 weeks, and then the groups switched. The white rice group ate brown, and vice versa. And when they were eating brown rice, they got significantly more weight loss. particularly around the waist and hips, lower blood pressure, and less inflammation. Similar effects were found for pre-diabetics. Substituting brown rice for white rice led to significantly more weight loss, more waist loss, and better blood pressures. And brown rice may not just help get rid of tummy fat, but also preserve our artery function. See, high blood sugars can stiffen our arteries, cutting their ability to relax in half within an hour, whether you're diabetic, have prediabetes, or are non-diabetic, though for diabetics, their arteries go down and stay down. And we know that brown rice can have blood sugar lowering effects compared to white rice, so can switching to brown rice help preserve arterial function? In folks with metabolic syndrome, within an hour of eating about a cup of cooked white rice, we can get a drop in artery function, but not so with brown rice. Despite all the benefits of whole grain rice, Asian people often prefer white rice, considering it softer and tastier than brown. But in a focus group of Chinese adults, only a minority had ever even tried it. Before tasting brown rice, the majority of participants considered it to be inferior to white rice in terms of taste and quality, so the researchers just served some up, and after actually tasting it and learning about it, most changed their minds.
Hey everyone, Sarah Grace back with you for week number 2 review of my clinical rotation. So I don't want to bore you guys with the daily routine because I kind of went over that with the week 1 review, but I'm going to just share with you a couple of fun cases I came across in the hospital, and then also a life lesson I learned. So just a few cases I've come across in the hospital. A young girl in her teens was riding a four-wheeler with 7 other people. So unfortunately she got thrown off, had a trach put in, has been on tube feeding, was in the hospital for over a month. They were trying to get her out by Christmas. She wasn't tolerating the tube feeding. Very sad and so hard to watch, but thankfully she's finally on the up. There was another case where there was a gunshot to the neck, and so for that, he was only 21 years old, had a trach put in. So at first he was on tube feeding because he couldn't swallow, and then as he got used to swallowing, we had to put him on a mechanically soft diet, which is very soft foods like eggs and stuff, and then we were able to upgrade until he was able to just eat normal foods. There's another case where he was just in for weakness and was older. He was around in his 80s, but he wasn't eating well, and so we had to go in and check with him and try to prescribe a supplement like an Ensure or Boost. And he was just so about not liking the foods that he just kept going, I just want my crab legs and sushi. My crab legs and sushi, that's all I want. There's this sushi place here in Tampa that is unlimited for $14, and that's where I'm going right when I get out of here. So, cute little old man. Little hard to work with, but you know, he liked his crab legs and sushi, and that's it. So he wasn't eating any of the hospital food. There was another case where unfortunately a guy just took an antibiotic, just a simple antibiotic, and his body just happened to react bad to it, and he suffered a stroke and has some brain damage, and we're crossing our fingers that he recovers fully from it, but right now he can't even swallow, so he's on tube feeding. Another case, a guy was allergic to shellfish, ended up accidentally having shellfish, took his EpiPen, and it halfway worked, but not fully, and so he took a second EpiPen, and the second one didn't work. So what happens when you have an allergic reaction and you don't get that EpiPen, the oxygen gets cut off to your brain, and you can suffer brain damage. And so this young guy in his 20s, just based off having one of the foods that he was allergic to, has now been brain dead for 2 years. Since this whole episode happened, he hasn't opened his eyes, and it's just so sad because the young guy had his whole life ahead of him, And here his parents are just sitting and waiting and hoping that one day that his eyes will open. So that was super sad, and it's hard. It's hard to be in the hospital and see all this and not get emotional or not take any of this stuff home with you at the end of the day. So I've been trying to work on that. There is a lot of cases of people that have diabetes and are on diabetic diets while they're in the hospital. Multiple cases had to have amputations because if you don't take care of your diabetes, it can lead to your tissue literally dying. And so a lot of people have their toes and feet and even just from below the knee on amputated. So it's so sad to see, and that kind of just leads me into my life lesson for you guys, and just like that I was learning throughout this second week of my clinical rotation. And that's, you have to take care of your body, and it's really so important that if you do know that you have some kind of issue, whether it's something simple like high cholesterol, or whether it's diabetes or anything like that, it's so important to take care of your body and take care of your health and make sure that you're managing whatever disease you might have or whatever issue you might have, and not live in denial and not live with the thought of, oh, nothing bad is ever going to happen to me. Because, there is a case also of HIV, and because she wasn't taking her medications for it, at 30 years old, she's now on her deathbed with AIDS. And so it's just hard to see. And, a lot of these are preventable if you follow the right steps. The medical field is so amazing these days that people with HIV can live for years and years, like into their late 60s. And unfortunately, she passed away early. Amputations don't have to happen when you have diabetes, but if you don't take care of it, if you're not watching your carbohydrates, you're not taking your insulin, so many things, it can lead to really bad results. And so, I just genetically have high cholesterol. And so even though you look at me and you think I'm healthy, and I do live healthy and I do eat healthy, I have to watch just having too high in fat foods and just my sodium intake and everything like that, because I know I have heart disease in my family and I have high cholesterol just based on my genetics already. So I just have to be careful of that and monitor that and take care of my health. Make sure you guys are getting your checkups, not letting problems go too long. Just all that stuff. Just a little life lesson. Sorry that got so serious. Just something that I started realizing in this last week of my clinical rotation. So that is what I'm going to leave you off with today. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know what you want to know about my clinical rotation. Do you want to know more about special diets? Do you want to hear more patient cases? Because I can make sure I write down more of them. Anything like that. So just let me know. Till next time. Bye, guys.